Afternoon all. I'm with my good friend Chris for game 15 to have a look. Hi Chris.
Yeah, hi. We're looking at the third tiebreak game now. And yeah, the important thing here is that Gelfand lost game 2 in this tiebreak,
Yeah.
or game 14 if you count it all together.
Yeah.
And he's got the white pieces, and this is basically the almost last chance to do something in the match.
Yep.
It's difficult with black if white only needs a draw. So this was basically now or never time. So yeah, let's see what happens.
So d4 from Gelfand playing white, and then we see d5 and a repeat of the Slav defense.
Yeah, but we already have a new thing here, because Gelfand played knight f3 e3 and not this knight c3 e3 move order.
Ah yes.
And this is somewhat different, because this can lead to slightly different positions. If we look at this knight f6 e3 is what Gelfand played. We already had the position a couple of times with knight c3 instead of knight f3. The difference here is, if black now wants to get into this e6 type position, so if he goes e6 here, then white has some additional options compared to the position with the knight on c3, because he can play moves like bishop d3 here, or also b3. And the difference is, if black now wants to get a setup similar to the games before, like this here, then white actually manages to get quite a nice setup. Let's say this kind of stuff.
Ah, yes.
Where he gets his knight on e5. This is a bit inaccurate with black moves here. Just to show the idea.
Yeah.
This is the idea, to keep the knight back on b1, to have this control over e5.
Of course.
So
Nice.
this e6 move is okay for black, but it's just a different position.
Yeah.
So I think the main move here for black even is c5. So just to take this back. Oh, I think I made a mess here. Okay, what I wanted to say is, e6. Black's best move is maybe c5.
Right.
But this is completely different position than the ones we got before. And usually some positions where all pieces stay on the board, so it's a good fighting choice. So e6 wasn't played, but Vichy went bishop f5.
Right.
Which is also by far the main move. And this leads now to a very well-known theoretical line. Black goes e6 here, and then knight h4. This is another point of white's move order. He wants to get this right squared bishop, so he will get the bishop pair.
Yeah.
And okay, it's not the most impressive bishop pair at first, because the bishop c1 is not terribly strong, but it's something to play for in the long run. Black now has numerous possibilities. He can basically play all bishop moves, and also bishop g4, bishop e4 is all normal. I think Anand played the most straightforward way, just bishop g6, and white took here.
Yeah.
And it's all very normal. This castles here actually is an interesting move. Black could try here to launch some attack on the h file.
Yeah, it looks potentially kind of dangerous, this open h file and h2.
Yeah. Funny enough, this was played in a game Carlsen versus Gelfand. Gelfand as black. So reversed roles. And Gelfand actually in this game, I think it was Tal Memorial last year, not quite sure, but I think Tal Memorial. In this game, Gelfand actually went for this h-file attack, castled long, but at the end was out-calculated by Magnus. He's not the worst calculator ever.
No, that was good, a good attacking effort though. by Gelfand.
Yeah, it was a really cool fighting game, but of course Vichy is more into solid play here, so you just bishop d6 first, then h3, castles, all very normal moves,
Yeah.
and I think this is all quite understandable. But now comes really the first very crucial point of the game. As Anand said afterwards, he just had a blackout in this position and simply forgot about the c5 possibility. He played rook c8 here.
Oh, this is actually a major blunder already.
Yes, it's a problem. I mean, the thing is, I think what Black intended to do is to take on c4 and then maybe play at some point for c5, and he wanted his rook opposite white's queen, but as Anand said, he sort of forgot about this possibility which is coming right now, which is c5, and this is rather strong in this position.
Yeah, I guess, is it because this rook's an automatic, pardon me, this rook's a target potentially for a bishop on a6 in that location?
I think so. And also this somehow weakens a7, this rook on c8, so this so-called configuration is somewhat unlucky for for Black.
Right. Sorry, just to make that, because what we're about to see is a b4, b5, a taking where that rook will be a target on this diagonal. So that's quite amazing how a little inaccuracy can lead to a disaster in chess, actually.
Yeah, it gets very uncomfortable now for Black. So I think he went bishop all the way back, and then very important, of course, f4. This is absolutely necessary. If White wouldn't have this possibility now, Black would be able to play e5.
Of course, yes. Lock down e5 first, then do this attack. Yeah.
Yeah. But to be honest, if this would be a blitz game, yeah, and I would have Black here, no? Maybe I would even consider playing e5.
Really, because you think there's a vacuum, I suppose, with all these pawn moves.
It's maybe there's some stuff. Maybe it's completely crazy. I'm just want to put it. It is crazy, yeah. But just to put it on the board. But this is suitable, I think, for some offhand blitz game.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, yeah. This diagonal. You make use of that bishop there. That looks dangerous, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think if it weren't for
g4 maybe.
Yeah, maybe stuff like this.
g4.
It's not completely hopeless, but. Yeah, this holds comfortably, so you can g4 maybe.
g4. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the easiest. If you don't have an immediate check, it's difficult. Yeah. Okay, it was just a fun suggestion, more suitable for some less important game. Okay, but Vichy, of course, realized immediately that he's in danger now, and immediately tried to get some counterplay going. So what did he play? I think rook knight to e8. Yeah.
Knight e8, yes. Knight e8.
Yeah.
Then we saw b4. So this kind of attack on the queen side is quite effective here because it's got a target. The bishop's now also tied down. It has got very few squares.
Yeah, and what's very important here, if you look at Black's pawn configuration here, these pawns, this is a case where this double G pawn here, it isn't a weakness in terms of that it can be attacked and won, but it is a weakness as it makes Black's pawn structure very inflexible. What he would like to do is, in this position, play for e5, but he cannot do this because f6 would just leave this g6 pawn hanging.
Of course.
And this is the problem.
Yeah.
If you would imagine this position, let's say with the pawn on the g7 pawn on h7, like just having played g6, then he could play for f6 and e5 and would have, I think, I'm not sure, a decent counterplay, good counterplay, whatever, but you would have a plan to open up the center in counter white, and so he just cannot move f6 here. And what he did is actually the only way to open up anything in this position. He went for f5 and then g5, and this also, I think, confuses the position the most. Oops, I should turn this off. Yeah, it confuses the position the most, yeah. And otherwise he wouldn't have any play at all. And so at least it was a bit confusing for the white player. So
Yeah.
I think we went f5, yeah, f5 and g5. Everything else just
Yeah, it's the most logical to try and... Oh, actually, g5 first. No, actually, he played g5 first, not f5.
really.
Well, according to this...
Yeah, okay, g5 first. Yeah, whatever. It's quite the same idea.
yeah.
So g5, and now I think white prepared b5 further.
Yeah. And now f5, okay. So, so this bishop is struggling to break out at the moment. Now we see b5, though. The queen side's really crashing through quite quickly.
Yeah, this whole piece configuration is just awful for black.
So he takes on there. At least he's undoubled his pawns. But in the process, now white's got this frontal pressure as well.
Yeah, but okay, black can always stick something into e4,
Yeah.
so you won't ever lose. E6 is not a weak pawn, really,
Right.
due to this thing. But the issue is just this configuration on the queen side with rook on c8, bishop on b8, and we will see immediately
Yeah.
how terrible this becomes.
Yeah.
So he brought this e8 knight back into play,
Yeah.
and now white takes on c6 and plays bishop a6, and
Very, very good.
yeah, very embarrassing for black.
Now, in this position, what we saw was rook c7, which looks very awkward for the bishop. But what if the rook didn't protect b7? I suppose rook b7. So say rook d8. Is it rook
Yeah.
b7?
I just thought bishop b7 and I win c6 and I win the game,
All right, bishop b7.
isn't it? I'm not sure, but this would be my first. I'm always the primitive guy.
No, that's the good point about c6. Even better. Rook b7 doesn't do anything.
But wait a second. What about knight c5 here? This could be a very annoying idea. Let's say this kind of stuff.
Check.
What are you doing now? Moving the king? I play d4.
Blimey. Oh, blimey, yeah. Counterplay.
Very strange stuff happening. Like suddenly it's breaking out. So maybe bishop b7 is not good after all.
Blimey.
Oh, okay. So let's go back a couple of moves. So maybe bishop b7 isn't so great. But what else? Yeah, rook b7. Certainly not bad. But I would like to win c6, really. This pawn is... I mean, how should black protect this pawn? It's very difficult to see, because he cannot move this d7 knight somewhere, and
Yeah.
all pieces are just... It's tragic, comical. I don't know if this is a word in English, but it looks strange. But what's actually a good move here is this here, I think.
Actually, I was just wondering about rook b7 and queen a4. To first pin that knight, and then with queen a4, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but if you look at this move, it just protects everything here.
Oh, right,
There's
yeah.
no knight c5, and I'm just threatening bishop b7. What
that's a
are
good
you
point.
doing
Yeah.
to prevent this? You cannot. You don't have a move.
There's no cheap... That's like a cheapo, isn't it? This knight takes c5 on this diagonal. It's a bit of a cheapo
Yeah,
move.
yeah, but important, very important.
Very important, yeah.
I think if black wants to save c6 now, he needs to go something like this here, and this looks like no, not much fun. This kind of stuff.
I know. Ah.
It's terrible. A7, c6, and black has absolutely nothing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a terrible position.
Right.
So yeah, I guess also I think also Anand wanted to play at least quickly to
let's go back to... I think there's another idea, a cheeky idea behind rook c7, to be honest.
yeah, okay.
Which is the idea of... later he wants to play g5. Maybe, if he can unravel these knights...
He wants to swing the rook over.
Yeah.
I know, it's an absolutely valid point. Yeah, you're right.
But that's quite ambitious. So Bishop e3. Okay, that guards against knight c5s, doesn't it? On that cheapo bit, knight c5 is
Yeah,
guarded
it
against.
completes development and looks very nice.
Knight
Yeah,
e4.
what a terrible position. But one thing, if you look at the times here, just if you revert one move, just one move.
Mm.
Look here, Gelfand had used almost 8 minutes here, 7 to 8 minutes, and Vichy was almost on 25 minutes. So he played really, for his standards, terribly. But he was quick. He was quick, and he kept on playing quick moves here, while Gelfand was spending lots of time.
Actually,
Just
yeah, I've just realised sometimes we get a glimpse of very high class players like Anand and Aronian recently. What would they do in Dutch stone wall pawn structures? Not that they ever play the Dutch stone wall, but you get answers, don't you? Because Aronian also had a Dutch stone wall structure against Gelfand recently and won that game. It was a brilliant game. Do you remember that?
yeah, very nice game.
But you
Yeah.
don't usually catch them with this structure because this is a very fixed structure, isn't it? This pawn structure, and you've weakened the dark squares. Very committal on dark square weaknesses.
Yeah, I think. Okay, this is not really a typical Stonewall here, but this opening is, I think, very much underestimated for let's say play below world class level. So for international masters and below, it's just a fine opening for black.
Dutch stonewall.
You think so?
My good friend
That's,
Paul Georgiou plays it with great success at tournaments. Yes, he plays the Dutch stonewall. Yeah.
yeah, it's not a bad choice at all. You've got lots of interesting points going for you as black. You've got a very nice pawns in the center, and it's a very good opening against tactical players. If you get some opponent who's just calculating lines but doesn't really understand much about chess, it's a great opening. Because you need to really play strategically fine, and it's difficult to do so. So it's not that bad, but we're getting really far away here.
Okay, so knight
So okay,
e4.
Anand play knight e4.
Now
and
rook
then I think-
b2, very powerful doubling of rooks and simple, just targeting this b8. Very simple chess here, this rook b2.
Yeah,
But that's his only file he's got to play with at the moment anyway, so he just needs to play on that file. If he doubles up rooks, there's all sorts of nasties. But g5 trying to generate a counterplay. Now we see just the doubling of rooks. And of course black can't take him, it would be a total disaster on b8.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, he did take. Pardon me. Oh, he did take.
To take and play e5. Yeah, what can you do? Black doesn't really have anything. But it's just terrible.
Pardon me. Yeah, of course he did play this because of e5. But as we see, there is a bit of a snag with all this after e5. There's a huge snag coming up in this position. Now, you don't want to take with a pawn because c5 will drop with check, and that will be quite embarrassing. So he takes with the bishop.
Yeah.
And after knight takes, he routinely plays a huge mistake here. I wonder if actually, should we give it as a test to our YouTubers? If we give everyone on YouTube 10 seconds here, what would you play here as white? 10 seconds starting from now. The best move to play as white, in your opinion? So move 26. Okay. Now, in the game, rook takes b8 was played. Now, presumably, okay, D takes e5 is a total disaster, isn't it? Queen takes c5 check, yeah?
Yeah, black even wins here, I think.
Yeah. So, he didn't really consider knight takes e4. So, in principle, knight takes e4 would seem to liberate, for example, this black rook on the f file and give black a seemingly huge position. But the thing is, it's worth doing that here. So what does black do here, apart from f takes e4? There's not much, is there? If he moves the knight, then knight d6 is very painful.
Very painful, yeah.
Because now this rook takes b8 is next. What does
Yeah,
black do about
total,
b8? It's a nightmare.
disaster.
Sorry
Total disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just lose b8 and you lose everything falls apart. Yeah, knight e4 was just winning the game.
Was absolutely winning the game. Yeah, he played rook takes b8, which is actually getting rid of, unfortunately, getting rid of black's problem piece. That's black's problem piece.
It's really hard to tell what he overlooked here. I mean, knight takes e4 strategically, it's a terrible move, but it just wins a piece. So
strategic because of f takes e4, liberating the rook.
yeah, but you just need to see that after d takes e5, black cannot save b8. It's really strange that he didn't see this. Maybe, of course, Gelfand realized that he was winning in this position. No doubt.
Yeah.
And maybe he somehow had a blackout and somehow couldn't believe that he was winning after 20 moves. It's not like that you would expect this to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Hard to tell. It's not difficult for those kind of players.
Yeah.
To spot this. I think in a blitz game or whatever they would spot this. He would spot this almost all the time.
But the funny thing, so in this position, black is helpless for that b8 bishop. But in a way, it looks as though all of white's play is designed to win b8, and it's strange. Unfortunately, at the climax of where he could have tactically won b8, all the positional lead up was just wasted. You know, locking in the bishop, peeling open the b file. It was all wasted.
It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. The thing is, if you look at the game, white was also great in the game. So maybe he beforehand just. This happens to me also quite often. If I beforehand calculate some line and I think I don't want to spend so much time and so on, then I just play the line I had calculated before, if it is good for me, of course. And then I might miss some far stronger move.
Yeah.
It's just speculation here, because if you look at the game, it was also very nice for white, but it's not outright winning.
Yeah.
Which after after 94, I think they would have played like 3 or 4 moves and then black resigns. And I'm not sure what happens in the last game. This isn't the nicest thing to happen to you after you just won game 2 and got into the lead like Anand here, and then you lose in 25 moves.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I just thought, Anand did seem okay. Very lucky that rook takes b8 was played here. So now, okay, he's a pawn down, but he's got fighting chances.
Yeah, it's not lost immediately, not at all.
So knight takes e4, and now a technical move, queen f2, using that pin. A bit of a tricky move, queen f2 using the pin. Okay, so the bishop, though, is not going to be able to help defend these pawns on dark squares soon. These pawns could be vulnerable later, which will give black chances. Queen g7. Okay, so after king h2 now was played, and the rook's double, which looks nice. Queen g3. So here, I actually predicted this move coming up, that he wants to sort of, you get pressure on d4, but it's not going to be with his queen, it's going to be with this knight soon now. After this next move, he plays knight f4, because the knight can come either here or potentially here if it wasn't with the bishop. But
yeah,
to
the
attack
problem
d4.
is in this situation, a knight to e6 attacks d4, and you cannot protect it easily with some minor piece. You don't want to protect it passively with your rook.
Yeah.
So this is some counterplay. I think white might still be better, but it's not at all easy to play, and it's also a little bit of this typical situation. If the lower the time, the more tricky the knight gets in comparison to the bishop.
Yes.
It's just like this. I mean, the bishop is the stronger piece still here, on like this bishop b7 ideas.
Yeah.
At some point, just picking up all these pawns, but it's notoriously tricky to play.
Yeah.
And I think Gelfand spent lots of time here. to come up with the next move.
So he had 720 about. Oh my god, are you serious? He spent about 5 minutes there on rook b3.
Yeah.
On that one move, as we just seen, it's 720 to 145 according to these relay times, which are approximate. So he's really getting down on the clock here after rook b3.
Yeah.
I think I remember thinking he was a goner actually, just from the clock situation. So the queens came off.
Check.
Check. But now this knight e6 will be helping black put pressure on white. We've also got a dangerous pawn and dangerous possession of the f-file, which could be useful. So I fancied black here when I was looking on the live relay at the time. I fancied black's chances because of the clock situation.
Yeah, I think from a practical point of view, I was also quite optimistic for black here. It's not easy to play at all, and you can easily imagine that white might lose d4 at some point, and then he's maybe just lost because his pawns are just more advanced than white's g and h pawn. These pawns are just back home, and if you would lose d4, then the e pawn can be very dangerous, and the e pawn is dangerous alone.
Yeah.
Even with g4 still alive. And black is not difficult to play. Invade on f2 and so on. Yeah, you're right. Gelfand did a good job here to really preserve something here.
So
with not much on the clock.
Yeah, amazing. Bishop e2, bishop g4. So this is a nice maneuver. So he's kicked that knight away from attacking d4, which means his rook can now free to move and start counter-attacking. And then we saw rook f7 defending against rook b7. Rook b8. Okay, so after rook b8 he's offering for a moment a2, but then rook c8 is on the cards.
Yeah, white is really going for counterplay here.
Yeah.
So he tries to also maybe get some attack really on black's king. And e3.
E3, and this looked really dangerous because of this g2 dropping off. So there's a question about white's king safety. So e3 is a bit radical though, but I don't know if there's anything better. Knight takes. No, there isn't knight. There isn't anything immediately that easy now. That bishop's doing a good job on that diagonal already, isn't it? Cutting the knight away from.
Yeah, it keeps squares away from the knight, and also at some point might play bishop d7 takes c6 if the time is right for this. Yeah, and white just has counterplay against the c6 pawn.
Yeah,
and a move like rook f6 is really maybe good, but it also looks kind of passive to just defend this pawn. And it looks dangerous. Yeah, e3 looks dangerous for white.
Yeah,
I also would have considered this surely.
So he plays e3, distracting the rook away from the defense of g2. So rook takes g2 check, and then the rook goes to attack d4.
Yeah, and this really is some nice piece of calculation by Gelfand really to that he allowed all this, because it looks dangerous. Yeah, white's king being cut off on the first rank.
Yeah,
but there's simply no mate coming up. If you think about moves like rook b7 and so on, I think this is the issue here.
Right. Yeah, but
I think he just took on c6 now, right?
So he just takes on c6. Now knight e6. I think rook b7 is too risky, isn't it? If rook b7, we've got things like bishop f5 check.
Yeah.
Actually, that defends immediately the b1 square, doesn't it? As well as meaning rook g3 is more dangerous.
Yeah, maybe. But also knight e6 looks quite nice what he played. Yeah. Now this way you just cover b1, so you're not getting mated. Knight e6 a fun move.
Yes, knight e6 threatens immediately a mate in 1, so the knight is en prie to all three pieces here, but this mate in 1 threat has to be done something about. So white here, faced with this mating one, he plays rook f3, and then we see the rooks, pair of rooks coming off, and then simplification. Knight takes d4, but Anand's hugely confident here, perhaps overly confident in this position, that he's going to be okay, because okay, he gets the rook behind the pawn, but to some commentators, what was occurring now, very soon, he's got optimism he can draw this position, but what was surprising a lot of commentators was this next move here, knight f3 check. That was a surprise to many, because you know, it doesn't look like a routine draw, does it, this position?
No. I'm just thinking, what happens on knight e6?
On knight e6 in this position?
Yeah. Instead of what happens?
That's a good question. Ah.
You just get c5, I think. And very hard to imagine that you would lose this.
Yeah, because the bishop's not on the right colour for this destination.
Yeah, also.
I wonder, knight e6.
Isn't this weird? I mean, okay, you always got the imminent danger here in this kind of position. If you look at this, yeah, rook a7 and then let's say takes. I'm not sure which what piece. You somehow have the slight danger here that at some point you might need to sacrifice the knight against the pawn, and then you need to defend rook and bishop versus rook, which is a draw, but it's not actually fun to play. Not sure, or maybe just Anand somehow panicked and had some wrong idea about the rook endgame. It might still be a draw, but it makes life, I think, more difficult than necessary, really.
Hold on a sec. What about this move, rook c6, just to get rook g6 in? Is that any interest? So
yeah, knight c5.
Check.
Yeah, to f4. I can make this myself, and not much.
Check.
Another check here. It's just nothing.
You
don't even win the a pawn here.
No, yeah, this a pawn's going to be enough, isn't it, for this h pawn?
Yeah, bishop and rook alone really rarely can get you close to mate here. Yeah, this looks rather simple.
Yeah, you're right.
I think he just had some wrong idea about the rook endgame, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so it seems as though maybe he was mega confident about this other idea. Just knight f3. I think that's partly why everyone was surprised, I think, by knight f3 then. Maybe it was to do with knight e6 as well, being available. Because this rook and pawn ending, okay, he was confident perhaps it was a dead draw, but the king needs to go quite far over here to win this pawn, and then this pawn is potentially dangerous in theory, and we're about to see.
If you but stop.
Sorry.
You need to return a couple of moves.
Sorry.
Instead of king f4, black can play this one also, and this is also an immediate draw.
Right, threatening rook h3. So if check, you just go back, don't you? You have to defend c5 again.
Yeah, right. This is just a draw.
h4 is useless. King g4. So yeah, blimey. So maybe that's somehow.
I think maybe he was worried that the king is too far away from the c pawn at some point, but it's just a draw.
Yeah.
I think he thought it was a draw anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe it simply wasn't. So white had a chance some moves later.
So rook c8, and now the king's going for that c pawn. Okay, but it's gone some distance away, And it looks as though I thought it was just trivially drawn. I was convinced, you know, that if you leave white with just the rook's pawn, it's going to be easier to draw. But it wasn't quite like that. Because here, okay, the rook's pawn is temporarily protected with rook h8, and the king has to go even further if it wants to munch it now. So here is a crunch position at move 59. Do you find sometimes there's almost like peer pressure in endings, as though everyone thinks they've got a sort of embarrassment about their own endgame knowledge, and they go with the flow, about something being clearly drawn, when in the particular position it might not be. Do you ever get that feeling? That it really depends on the position? Everyone thinks they have this knowledge of endgames, which is comprehensive.
You think everyone believes this? I'm not quite sure. I know from my own experience that there are quite lots of exceptions and special positions and whatever, and I really don't know a lot of them. I'm a person who needs to calculate a lot at the board in those kind of end games, and I think it's often much more difficult than it looks at first.
Yeah.
So I think it was also a matter of time here, because Gelfand was down to a couple of seconds here. I think he was a lot lower on time than is suggested here with this 1:07, which is displayed here. I think he was down to seconds.
Right. So it seems he played an inaccurate move here. Apparently there's a very strong move here. I wonder if our YouTubers can guess it. A very strong move found out later. If we give you 10 seconds. Okay. The move played was actually rook h7. But apparently we believe king g3 is stronger, yeah?
Yeah, this is winning. And it's I think maybe it's a case for where one person wants to be too clever or something, or he overlooked something simple, because well, this is just a normal move, yeah. Rook h7 looks like it's either brilliant or just stupid, and in this case it was stupid, because you just need to advance with your king here, and it's close to impossible to. I think it's impossible to defend. So what should black do here? Maybe we should. Put some more moves on the board. So let's say black advances with his king, right?
Yeah. So you just...
Yeah, just to show what happened. No, not king g4.
Not king g4?
No, you can immediately go here, and this is immediately over.
Why is that better than king g4?
Because it wins immediately.
Oh, because you're threatening immediately rook a8.
Rook a8 and over.
Because you got the check. If
yeah, I've got always this check motive, so this wins immediately.
Of course.
Yeah, so this is a problem with black trying to advance his king. So.
And if king e6 here, you get the check here.
Rook e8 check. Right?
Yeah, and then h8. So this king is actually going to be victimized in relation to this pawn by force.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same with king d6 here, which also wins immediately. You don't even need the king here. So black cannot advance his king. So this leaves him basically with rook h1, and then I just advance with the king. Black still cannot move his own king. So black is reduced to a couple of checks here.
Yeah.
And at the end we get this position.
Yeah, and then we build a sort of bridge with rook g8.
Yeah, okay, let's say king here, rook g8, rook somewhere, I'm not sure.
Put it maybe to h1. Should we move it to h1? Okay, all there.
h1, it doesn't matter much.
Yeah.
You can also go here, and then you just go back, and then king g7 and the h pawn is running.
Of course.
So it's really simple. And it's just, he must have overlooked something simple here. Of course, it's lots of pressure and so on, but it's not terribly difficult.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? The second chance to win this game, it's like this game is missed opportunities. isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
I mean, it's easy. It's easy for anyone to say in retrospect, though. Retrospect is the most powerful grandmaster going, I think.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
In
And
the,
you also, if you need to be um if you I watched the live stream here live stream with commentary by Peter Swidler, and as it unfolded, of course they played very quickly, Gelfand because he didn't have much time, and Anand because he wanted to keep the pressure on, and he also couldn't tell immediately like King G3 wins, and he and also the Russian commentators saw this pretty quickly afterwards.
after, yeah.
But it's not like they see it in like 2 seconds or anything. But yeah,
But why does King G3 play a pivotal role in that you can't play H7 immediately then? Why is King G3 such a key to the position here?
you need to have the opportunity to go with your king to H7.
Oh,
If you
right.
play H7 now.
Yeah,
Let's say you play H7, yeah.
yeah.
So then I just stay.
You just stay.
Yeah,
And
because if you I need to stay on B7 with my king.
all right, now
I
I've got
cannot
King
go.
G3 here, and I can't move the rook.
Yeah.
Is that the point? I can't move the rook now.
I'm just staying here.
Isn't that
You cannot.
absolutely amazing? That such a tiny difference has gigantic proportions behind it.
Yeah, this is rook end games.
The rook's stuck now, and the king.
Yeah, I can just stay on A7, B7, and then I drop to H1 and give checks from the back.
You just give checks. So there's no way of building a bridge here now.
No, I can
Check. Check.
I can even stay on the H file. It doesn't matter.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's
Yeah, yeah.
brutal. It's absolutely brutal, isn't it? Tragic. Little
But
differences.
this is very important to know that it's really a good idea to play a move like H7, because you often need this square for the king. So okay, you should play H7 if it wins. Yeah, if it wins immediately, like in this position, as we saw, if black goes like here, you play H7 and you just win. You can calculate it like it's a two-mover. Yeah, but strategically speaking, this is not a good move. Very often you need this square for the king. But okay, here it wins immediately because black played the bad move, king to d6. Yeah, it's all decided here by time management. I think give him 3 minutes on the clock and he never play rook h7.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. I find that the finesses here. Wasn't there this great master called Floor? Or was it? He was good at endings as well as Rubinstein. They were brilliant at rook and pawn endings. I think Rubinstein was the most famous, wasn't he, for endings?
Yeah, Rubinstein's maybe the best rook endgame player ever, or at least let's say he had really a huge amount of very instructive examples where he nicely outplayed people from like, let's say, minimum advantages, and he just played model games out of this. So it's very useful to study. But let's say this position here, for instance, is this kind of basic position. You can, without any knowledge, just calculate at the board and see that how it wins. But it's not easy to do so in 1 minute or 30 seconds. So what to say? I think he even should manage in 1 minute. But okay, it's not like some weekend tournament anywhere. Yeah, it's some huge pressure there, and somehow the quality didn't really got better due to all this pressure. It was very, of course, very thrilling to watch, but well, really lots of mistakes made. Yeah, so really a huge chance for Gelfand, or not one chance, like a ton of chances to to defend to win here and get to a tie here in the match.
So now this king is coming to the rescue after king d6. It's very different with the king coming to the rescue now.
Yeah, the rook on h7 is just terrible now because you don't have those h7 and this checks, so black can just advance his king now.
And in fact, here they drew, did they? King d6, end of game.
Yeah, black can just advance his king and it's over.
Amazing, amazing. It's just, it's brutal chess, really. It really is in all phases. Absolutely brutal game. All right, listen. I don't know if we should do a quick overview and summary, shall we? Let's do a quick overview and summary.
Yeah. Let's just do this quickly.
So a Slav with a difference, with knight f3 early on, big difference, and it seems Anand slipped up early on. This is very theoretical path, but he seems to be slipping up with a routine move here coming up, rook c8, which
he forgot to take on c4.
Yeah, so this makes the whole plan of peeling open the queen side much more effective. With that bishop being a target on b8, e5 being clamped down on by white, kind of Maroczy bind but against d5, made worse by the double pawns, which make it harder for black to play for f6 and e5. So he plays for f5 and g5, g5 first, then f5, trying to generate some counterplay. He plays this defensive move, curiously rook c7, which defends, it seems, b7, but also might have the idea of optimistically going for an attack later. But now, soon, Gelfand mounts up the pressure on the b file to b8. Everything seems geared up for the b8 to be the prisoner of the position. And this e5, we get this first position after knight takes e5, where a non-intuitive sort of move actually would end up winning material by force, namely knight takes e4 here. Unfortunately, this non-intuitive move was not considered too much, and in fact, instead, rook takes b8. So a difference of between +3 with knight takes e4 and 0.6 according to engines. So knight takes e4 wasn't played. Major opportunity missed. But still, white was a pawn up, but now black has some counterplay, and he doesn't even mind the queens coming off because he can victimize the d4 pawn, which the light square bishop can't really help defend too easily. So the pressure now on white, especially with clock pressure, he still manages to fight here and infiltrates now with his rook to come and attack c6, dropping a2 in the process, and even e3 doesn't really help black much. And still Anand was in a difficult position, but he missed a much clearer way. There was a mate threat there after knight e6, so we had simplification here into a position where Anand missed an opportunity for quite a clear draw, it seems, coming up here. After this king h2, knight e6, as Chris points out, knight e6, and it looks as though that's a clear draw, but instead knight f3, which maybe isn't as easy as demonstrated by the game actually, where white...
Here king h4 also would have drawn.
Oh, sorry, king h4, yes.
So maybe this is also a draw, but it really... yeah, you need to really play this now, otherwise you get into trouble.
Yeah. So he got into trouble with king f4, and now we have this curious precision opportunity where actually that c-pawn is a major decoy in a way, but it needs a hyper-precise move here. Not to play h7, but in this position to play king or rook h7, to play king g3. Another major missed opportunity of the game, not to play king g3. But with retrospect, the benefit of hindsight is a wonderful thing. A super grandmaster that's never beaten retrospect. So here they drew. Okay, I don't know if anything else you want to say, Chris. Should we just say comments or questions on both our channels? We'll both upload this to our channels.
I guess. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. Also, this nice little things about the end game at the end. I think it might be helpful.
Yeah.
So
I hope everyone got something from that. That's great. Okay. Thanks very much.